on the ground to up in the air. We're taking you to Santaquin, Utah, where crews are working hard to get this fire out.
Plus, a massive search is underway for the gunman who attacked 2 Los Angeles County deputies. We have the latest details on this attack caught on video.
And she's been missing for almost a week after she went hiking near the North Ogden Divide. Hear from this woman's family and their plea for her safe return home.
And hot and dry. In addition, we're adding the winds for tomorrow. Not a good recipe for fire danger. When do the winds end? I'll let you know in the forecast.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
Right now, crews are battling another fire here along the Wasatch Front. The Goshen Fire is burning right now near Santaquin. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kirsten Nunez.
And I'm Brian Schnee. So far, the fire has burned more than 200 acres and has not been contained. Firefighters from many agencies, as well as helicopters, even hot-shot crews, are all trying to get this under control tonight.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn spoke with those crews as well as homeowners tonight.
It's been quite the day for the Thompson family.
We noticed that there was a little bit of smoke on the ridge.
That little bit of smoke turned into this.
Pretty crazy. We've only been in Utah for 2 years, and so fire is kind of a new thing for us.
Well, fires may be new to her. Unfortunately, wildfires are anything but to our Utah fire crews, especially this summer.
We've been seeing a lot of human-caused fire here in northern Utah the last little while.
Well, it's unclear how this fire started. Officials believe it was caused by someone, meaning it was preventable.
You worry about the firefighters and the pilots doing their job, and then you worry if the wind changes, it's close to our houses.
A reminder to people to be careful so we don't see more days like this, filled with smoke.
There are no evacuations in place at this time. Fire officials say this should serve as a reminder to everyone to be prepared just in case there's a fire in your neighborhood and you have to evacuate. And Santaquin, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Breck Bolton joining us now in the Weather Center tonight. And Breck, is this high fire danger going anywhere anytime soon?
Well, we have these 3 ingredients that we look at when it pertains to fire danger. Of course, heat, and looking at the humidity and then the winds as well. As we focus in on current conditions, specifically as we look at the spot with the Goshen Fire, just in West Santaquin, right now temperatures down into the 60s, winds east-southeast at 7 miles per hour. Winds today not too bad. There were a couple of spots, at least throughout the afternoon, we found wind gusts getting upwards of 15 miles per hour. Humidity, though, that's definitely one area that we're focusing in on. As you know, it's dry and remains dry, and that'll be a factor here as we move into Monday. Now, as we look at the Battle Creek 2 fire, giving you an update there, at least with the current conditions, winds also fairly light, low humidity. Of course, throughout the day, we found temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s. So we've been battling the heat as well. Now, looking at the winds across the state, it is not a concern right now. Overnight, it shouldn't be a concern. Now, as we get to some of the areas on the foothills, sometimes we have these little canyon winds that can pick up. So we'll definitely keep our eye on that. But all in all, the biggest concern moves towards tomorrow, where the National Weather Service putting in a red flag warning, specifically as we look at the Wasatch back through Cache Valley, up through Rich County as well. We could see wind gusts in excess of 25 miles per hour. So we're increasing the concern for fire weather for tomorrow. Now, that situation, how long does it last? We'll let you know coming up in just a bit.
Meanwhile, the evacuation orders for the Battle Creek 2 fire in Pleasant Grove were lifted today.
Air crews worked most of the day to help contain the fire. Fox 13's Diego Romo looks at today's firefighting operations.
On the right side of the pit.
The Battle Creek 2 fire in Pleasant Grove was reduced today thanks in no small part to the help of planes and helicopters.
You're seeing the pilots, and the pilots are amazing, and they have a ton of experience working with these kind of fires. And they're really who are doing most of the work right now.
Helicopters dropped water from above, while air tankers spent most of the day dropping slurry to help stop the fire from spreading. The fire began Saturday night and had burned roughly 100 acres by Sunday morning. Winds initially pushed the flames downhill, forcing 34 homes to be evacuated. Once evacuation orders were lifted around noon, J.C. Taylor wanted to see how his daughter's home fared.
Our daughter lives here in Pleasant Grove and not too far from here, and so they're out of town, and we thought we'd come over to see how far down it's come, if their home was in danger or not.
This fire Sunday and so many others are believed to be human-caused. According to Utah Fire Info, 2020 has seen a total of 871 human-caused fires so far. Conditions across the state continue to be extremely dangerous for fires. The U.S. Forest Service said people simply aren't getting the message.
You have to be especially careful with fire right now. And definitely do not have any campfires. Please try not to start any more fires out there. It's like we're taxed.
The Battle Creek 2 fire burned in roughly the same place as another wildfire from 3 weeks ago, but they say the two are not connected. In Pleasant Grove, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Firefighters from Utah have been helping with structure protection in southern Oregon as residents have been bracing for numerous fires there. Fire crews from Utah Task Force 1 were in the small community of Butte Falls today, a few miles from the active South Obenchain fire. The town was evacuated earlier this week, but Utah firefighters have now been brought in to help the community further prepare their properties while other firefighters continue to strengthen the fire line on the outskirts of town.
We are not working to directly suppress the body of the fire. We're preparing for areas where it could impact communities and structures, and our job is to protect those structures if and when that does come to fruition.
The task force focuses purely on protecting lives and structures, which in the case of this assignment in Oregon, it means homes. Oregonians have been posting pictures on social media, sharing their many thanks to the more than 80 Utah firefighters who have taken over some of these small towns to prevent losses from nearby flames.
Search crews are still searching for a missing hiker who hasn't been seen for almost a week. 29-year-old Shelby Campbell set out last Tuesday, but never came back home. Crews found her car at the North Ogden Divide, but no sign of her. Search crews are now on the trails in the area. At this point, Shelby's friends and family simply want answers.
The hardest thing for everybody is just the not knowing. Everybody's pulled together. There's been a lot of support and love.
If you do have any information on missing Shelby Campbell, please contact the Weber County Sheriff's Office.
Several juveniles were sent to the hospital after a crash on I-15 in Centerville overnight. Utah Highway Patrol troopers say just before 1 o'clock this morning, the driver of a Ford passenger car rear-ended a red Audi that was pulled over in the northbound lanes near Parish Lane. No injuries are considered life-threatening. Fatigue is being looked at as a contributing factor.
A home in Sandy caught fire today, and no one was in the house when the fire started. But luckily, neighbors saw smoke fuming and called 911. Firefighters were able to put the fire out, but not before it caused over $100,000 in damages. The cause is under investigation.
New at 9, the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources is warning people to be careful in the woods after a woman was hurt by a bull moose near Albion Basin. DWR says this happened around 2:15 along the Bloods Lake Trail in the Bonanza Flat area. A family was hiking in the area with their dogs when they encountered the moose. Now, the dog startled the moose while it was lying down, and the moose brushed past the woman, causing her to fall and hit her head. DWR says if you see a moose, give it lots of space and do not approach it.
Now to a developing story in Los Angeles, where 2 deputies were shot in the line of duty in an ambush this weekend. Now
a manhunt is underway for the man responsible for the attack, which was caught on video. Fox's Christina Coleman has the story.
An investigation into a suspected ambush shooting is underway in California. Surveillance video shows the suspect opening fire on the deputies as they're sitting in their patrol car at a metro station. This happened Saturday night in Compton, California. Authorities say the shooting was done ambush style, as the gunman appeared to pretend to walk away from the vehicle, then turned and shot the deputies inside.
He made a left turn directly toward the car, raised a pistol, and fired several rounds inside of the vehicle, striking both of the sheriff's deputies.
Both were shot multiple times, but were still able to radio for help after the vicious attack. They were taken to a local hospital where both had surgery and are fighting for their lives. President Trump tweeted, "If they die, fast trial death penalty for the killer, only way to stop this." The critically injured deputies are identified as a 24-year-old man and a 31-year-old mother of a 6-year-old boy. LA Sheriff Alex Villanueva reminding the public of the dangers his deputies face.
Actions, words have consequences, and our job does not get any easier because people don't like law enforcement.
The gunman ran off after the shooting. At least 14 deputies from the department, along with other crime scene investigators, are working this case.
This was an unprovoked, cowardly act. The individual will be caught, and justice will prevail.
Saturday night, protesters gathered at the hospital where the deputies were being treated. Witnesses say some were chanting anti-police slogans, and some allegedly said things like, "I hope you die," while referring to the 2 injured deputies. Saturday night, the LA Sheriff's Department tweeted a plea to protesters to stop blocking ambulances from accessing the hospital. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Coming up later in our newscast, hear from one retired Salt Lake City police officer with his thoughts on the incident in California and what he says it's like for officers in the line of duty today.
Also ahead on Fox 13 News at 9, we're just 2 days away from the new Salt Lake City International Airport. We'll show you the changes that UTA is making ahead of this big occasion.
And a big announcement ahead of a major facelift that will soon come at the old Utah State Prison. We'll explain. Utah saw 628 new COVID-19 cases today, taking the total to 57,875. The rolling 7-day average of new cases stands at 454 per day, with 9.3% of people testing positive for the virus. There were no new deaths to report. Utah Department of Health says there's no clear reason for this latest spike. Most of the cases are among people ages 15 to 24. They're concentrated in Utah County and Salt Lake County.
We are about to see a big step forward in the potential redevelopment of the state prison site in Draper. The development project, called The Point, is focused on the 700-acre prison site, which hopes to demolish and rebuild. Tomorrow morning, it's expected that some of the future plans will be made public. So a press conference will be held at 9 a.m. with the Lieutenant Governor, Spencer Cox, and also area mayors to discuss how the Point could become a major economic engine for our state.
The long countdown to the grand opening of the new Salt Lake City Airport is almost at 0.
And Tuesday, the new facility will welcome its first travelers, but this is going to come with some changes. Fox 13's John Franke takes a look at how those who ride UTA to the airport will be impacted.
It's almost time for this world-class airport to be Utah's gateway to the world. But if you ride UTA to catch your flight, you're going to want to give yourself some extra time.
UTA is very excited about the start of construction on the new line going over to the new airport. For that to happen and to facilitate that, we have to shut down the old track station that ran out to the old airport.
With the current track station shut down, a shuttle will run between the UTA station at 1940 West and the airport. That could add 15 to 30 minutes to your travel time.
It's a step forward. It's something that we're excited about. It's been a long time in the making, and so now we're starting to take the first steps towards establishing that new station out at the new airport.
That new station, currently under construction, will look like this. It'll put riders just feet away from check-in and baggage claim.
People, once they get off, will take the elevators or escalators up to the level where they will check in and take their baggage. It will be very, very close and very, very convenient for people to use.
There may be some growing pains along the way, but UTA is confident once completed, the updated station will greatly enhance its service.
We know that this is somewhat inconvenient for people, but at the same time, it's going to be a big, big step for us, and it's part of the progress.
The new station is on track to be open in July of 2021. In Salt Lake City, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, a few new fires throughout the state of Utah over the last couple of days. Breck, we've seen some decreasing air quality in northern Utah, but have these fires impacted any of that? And will there be a wind shift anytime soon for some relief?
Well, of course, we've been adding on the smoke just a little bit due to these fires that have been burning through Utah County. But of course, the wildfires in California, Pacific Northwest, filtering in. We're not getting a direct hit in that the flow is not out of the west, but pushing through just a little bit and moving ahead. We're going to see that more of a concern as we transition into the work week. Let's take a look at the high temperatures today. We're battling the heat. Back to summer-like weather here with temperatures getting up to 91 degrees today in Salt Lake City, upper 80s in Provo. We saw 80s from Vernal through Price. Almost triple digits in St. George, where we show that high of 91 degrees in Salt Lake City. We were just 2 degrees off of tying a record, so near record-breaking temperatures as we're going to keep it toasty, where on average we should be in the low 80s. Right now, though, we stand in the 70s. That's the nice thing, even though we heat up, but throughout the early evening, things do cool down quite a bit. Winds right now, calm. We're going to see some winds, more of a concern in some spots across the state, but let's talk about the air quality. Currently, moderate concern across the Salt Lake Valley. Moving further northward, once you get in Weber County, even portions of Cache County, Box Elder County, it's kind of in between that moderate to unhealthy situation as you see some of those orange dots. Now, central, southern Utah, it's green, it's good. Should be good for another day, but some changes, especially as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, where as we look long range, at least for the next 7 days, air quality, as it is moderate, tomorrow should be still close to that. Tuesday, Wednesday, we push through that unhealthy situation as additional smoke will be tracking through the region, specifically as we look towards northern Utah. Let me show you why and where it's moving here. Again, with the focus with all that smoke still burning, and of course with the smoke that's in place across northern California, pushing up through Oregon as well. We move the clock here where we're talking about the migration of the smoke heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. You can see for northern and western Utah, the smoke a little bit thicker, even for St. George. Still, models are showing, at least through eastern Utah, shouldn't get too bad, even though we just can't avoid not seeing any smoke. We're just still in that direct path of that movement, even if most of the heavier smoke moves north of us around that high pressure. Hopefully by the weekend, though, things clearing out quite nicely as we have a cool front that's going to kick up the winds, blow that smoke away, and maybe get a day or two with a bit of a break. We need some bigger storms, though. Precipitation is what we need across the western United States, of course, for the smoke, but also to help out with the drought situation. Now, for tomorrow, I mentioned winds picking up with a focus as we look over the higher terrain, so the Wasatch back through the Wasatch Mountains, Cache County, Rich County as well, where we could find kind of a persistent breeze throughout the afternoon, 15 to 20 miles per hour, maybe some additional strong wind gusts. So that's the focus for the fire danger as we look for northern Utah. It is clear, though, and it will remain clear. Again, high pressure as it has moved right across the state, strengthened. As we look off towards the west, we have some clouds. A storm system brewing. It's a slow mover. It's just going to churn out there and then finally sweep through towards the end of the week. That'll kick up the winds, and then we'll bring in some cooler air, but not a lot of rain. So for tonight, you can see those temperatures overnight for most spots, at least along the Wasatch Front in the 60s. Another hot day near record-breaking temperatures. I don't think we'll tie the record, but we'll get close, mid to upper 80s through central Utah. And again, close to triple digits for St. George, where we keep it 98 to 99. We pick up those winds Thursday and Friday. Slightly cooler heading into the weekend. Northern Utah, we'll see that cooler air Saturday and Sunday with the cool front moving through. Until then, we'll keep it hot. We'll keep the smoke around those winds picking up Thursday and Friday.
Still ahead, he was on the force for 30 years. Now he's calling it a career. We talk with him one-on-one about his time with Salt Lake City Police and the touching goodbye he received.
Plus, people from all walks of life have been struggling during the pandemic. See how some local seniors are getting a little help along the way to get through this difficult time and not feel so lonely.
This is Fox 13 News.
Thanks for staying with us. Life during this pandemic feels lonely for a lot of people. Senior citizens feel the impact of not being able to be around friends or even extended family.
But Ashley Sampson shows us some options to help seniors feel connected and manage the pressures of this months-long pandemic.
When you enter the building at Daybreak Senior Services, pictures of blushing brides and anxious grooms greet you.
This building is such a historic place.
Although the fashion trends may have faded, the memories here north of Salt Lake City have not. For 50 years, this was a reception hall, a place of celebration, a symbol of new life beginning.
Wow, I like it.
Now,
where should we put that one? Next to it?
A home base for those not ready to give up on life.
There.
It's a gap that needs to be filled, and And that's why we're here.
Scott Rasmussen is the program director.
Nice one, ladies.
Some days that means joining a rousing game of indoor badminton.
You got it, you got it.
Or laying down the law playing some board games.
Try not to be the person that makes the Getty land in the bowl.
Instead of wedding gowns, now everyone here wears masks.
Can you ladies pull up your masks just a little bit?
And though you can't see the smiles, you know they're under there.
One of our participants here, she loves coming here, and she calls it the club. I want to go to the club. And it's because we're doing cool stuff.
Sure, they're doing cool stuff, but the biggest goal is to help seniors from feeling isolated and alone.
It's a very real thing. I've known seniors that get so depressed that they're like, I'd rather just be done than just have to go through another week of this because it's just too hard.
Rasmussen says there is a real need in our country to help seniors who aren't quite ready for full-time assisted living, but are not getting all they need at home.
If your loved one's just staying home all the time, they're missing out on part of their life that could still be growing, even at an advanced age between 65 and 105.
The adult daycare partners with programs through the VA and Medicaid, and participants can drop in whenever they want. Adult daycares can be found all over the country. It's as simple as calling 211 and just asking.
We love all of our participants. We absolutely love them. And we love what we do here because it's such a valuable thing.
COVID-19 may be affecting their numbers some, but Rasmussen says it's even more reason to reach out to your loved ones and check in.
Ask those questions, because if you don't ask, you just have a feeling of despair, and they just get harder and harder. And that makes it difficult on everyone.
There may not be a lot of dancing going on or tossing of bouquets, but there is hope and commitment to keep on going.
See you next time.
I'm Ashley Sampson reporting.
Bye, guys.
The Dogs All Daycare Center offered free vaccinations today, and anyone could come by with their furry friends to get their shots. The center also offered free litter and pet food, and it was all put together with the help from the Humane Society, Canyons Veterinary Clinic, and the Street Dog Crew of Utah. Dogs All Day was able to vaccinate 250 animals today.
While some got their shots today, other dogs went painting in the park. Dogs and dog owners met in Murray today for Paws in the Park, where they made art with paint and other supplies. The event was put on by Save Our Local Pets Utah, which is a nonprofit committed to ending euthanasia in shelters across the state. They provided the supplies. All people had to do was bring their pup. Save Our Local Pets Utah also works to donate food, bedding, and other supplies to shelters in the state. Now, if you'd like to help the nonprofit organization out, we have a link to their website on ours, fox13now.com.
Still to come, the race for the White House continues to ramp up. How former Vice President Joe Biden got a major boost for his campaign.
And Christopher Nolan's latest movie, Tenet, has received a wide range of reviews and critics from audiences. What Fox 13 movie critic Steve Oldfield thinks about it when we return.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
We continue to follow the manhunt for a man accused of shooting 2 sheriff's deputies near Los Angeles. The ambush, captured on surveillance video last night, took place as the deputies were sitting in their patrol car. Video is tough to watch, especially when you're a police officer.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn caught up with a newly retired Salt Lake City police officer to hear his thoughts on that situation and how his job has changed in the last 3 decades.
Now, if I start crying, nobody laugh.
It's not easy to say goodbye.
I'm going to be signing off for my final time.
Especially after 30 years.
I'd like to thank all my brothers and sisters in blue for all their support, all their backing, always having my 6, keeping me safe.
Shane Whiting loves helping people. That's why he took the oath to be a police officer 3 decades ago.
I am definitely going to miss it. In fact, I'm surprised I'm not crying.
He's seen a lot over the years, but this last year has been different, he admits.
It's become a lot scarier, I'll be completely honest.
His cop car once sat proudly in his driveway. Now it hides in his garage.
I don't pull up to a stoplight without an escape route.
Shane says he's often on edge, afraid of a possible ambush, like what happened to 2 sheriff's deputies in Los Angeles this weekend.
I did see the video, and it was horrific, and there was no reason for that.
It's tough for Shane to not think of the men and women in blue he's leaving behind.
It scares me because I have so many good friends that are police officers, that are still police officers.
He wishes people knew officers like he does.
The officers don't hesitate. They just say 10-4 en route. I'm going. They don't ask who they are, where they're from, their background, what religion, race. It just doesn't matter.
Despite it all, Shane isn't leaving because of that. He's leaving because he says, well, it's just time.
I've missed birthdays. I've missed Christmases, holidays. I've missed dance performances. And so I got to say thank you to my family for putting up with my 30 years, but now it's time for me to dedicate it to my family.
He's trading in his uniform and vowing to spend more time being dad, grandpa, husband, and friend, but not without a proper goodbye from those he served.
I came home last night, my whole neighborhood was, oh, now I'm gonna cry, was blue lights, we love you, the thin blue line flags.
And those who served alongside him.
This is Motor 911 signing off, 1042 forever.
In Salt Lake City, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Grateful for his service and sacrifices. In the race for the White House, Joe Biden getting a big boost from one of his former competitors.
That as both candidates are making a new push to compete for Latino voters in key battleground states. Fox's Jackie Heinrich is traveling with the Biden campaign in Delaware and has the latest on this race.
Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg pledged $100 million to help former Vice President Joe Biden win Florida ahead of his first trip to that state since becoming the Democratic nominee. Biden plans to pick up where Senator Kamala Harris left off, courting voters last week. Latino support is being hard fought by both campaigns, especially after a recent poll showed Hispanic voters in Florida's largest county slightly prefer President Trump. Today, Senator Bernie Sanders voiced concerns Biden's campaign isn't doing enough to show working families how their lives would improve under a Biden administration.
We got to reach out to the Latino community. You got a lot of young people, you got a lot of Latinos, African Americans who may not vote. They're not going to vote for Donald Trump, that's for sure, but they may not vote at all. How do we bring them into the political process? How do we get them to vote? That's key in so many battleground states.
Biden's recent Spanish language ads criticized President Trump for what they called false narratives and misinformation, also mocking the president's own ads, saying they're not culturally competent. In Florida, the Biden campaign is running an ad called Dicen Mucho, which translates to they talk a lot, highlighting what they called Trump's empty rhetoric on the economy. But what really set off the president was an ad featuring President Trump's reported comments disparaging military families.
They're a disgrace, but you know the good part? Now I can be really vicious. I can be really vicious. And we're going to start by saying that the Democrats are trying to rig this election because it's the only way they're going to win. The only way they're going to win is to rig it.
In other ads, the Biden campaign continues to hammer President Trump on coronavirus, using Bob Woodward's interviews with President Trump back in March, where he can be heard on tape saying he always wanted to play down the pandemic. In Wilmington, Delaware, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
Still ahead, we'll take a closer look at just how much of an impact COVID-19 has made on Utah's housing market.
Plus, how one Utah woman is looking to raise awareness to a rare type of cancer and how that will help researchers here at home. The COVID-19 pandemic is affecting nearly every aspect of our lives, including where we live. In our latest rebound report, Fox 13's Bob Evans takes a look at the impact coronavirus is having on Utah's housing market.
The Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute reports since the recession of 2008, Utah has been the fastest growing state in the country.
For every home that I've got available, I've got 10 or 15 people that want it.
And while the growth has helped the state's economy,
I don't know how long that can last. I don't know if we can really keep supporting this type of growth.
On the other hand, it has created a housing shortage, making it harder for Utah families to buy or rent.
As you're seeing, homes, being sold quickly, we're also seeing multifamily housing being sold. And mass evictions happening.
The Utah Realtors Association says the homes available to buy in Utah have been shrinking since the pandemic. Now there are roughly 53,000 fewer available homes than families looking. The increase in demand is causing new house prices to rise fast.
A lot of homes selling for 20, 30,000, who knows what, above the asking price. So that's a little bit of an issue for the market.
Those prices have increased by 13% since the pandemic began, and renters are seeing a completely different issue.
A lot of our, renters are the front end workers on behalf of the pandemic, and these are the lowest wage jobs that we have.
New numbers from the Utah Housing Coalition show that for a full-time worker to rent a modest two-bedroom apartment, they need to make a minimum of between $19 and $23 an hour.
The time for housing support and for creating affordability, both through our workers' wages and housing costs, has never been more poignant.
Educating people about affordable housing and not be so resistance against it.
The Housing Coalition and Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute are asking landlords to be more lenient, especially during the pandemic.
We really need to take a look at evictions and how they're being processed and how, people are coming out on the other end, and how do we, help them recreate their credit so they can become a homeowner.
For anyone needing help with rent, they can find assistance by calling 211. We have a link to that and much more at fox13now.com. Just click on the Rebound tag for information about housing, health care, and jobs. Bob Evans, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It's a form of cancer that often goes undetected until it's in stage 4, neuroendocrine tumor cancer. But one woman wants to bring awareness to it with the help of some friends and a photographer. Fox 13's Amy Ney shows us the steps being made to fight against this rare disease.
Say zebra. Zebra! Nice!
Leslie Bangeter was recently diagnosed with neuroendocrine tumors cancer, a disease so rare that it has been nicknamed the zebra cancer because of the scarcity of zebras.
I found out by mistake. I was at a conference in Florida and I was taken by ER to the emergency room. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They ran all these tests. Ultimately, I was diagnosed with the UTI, but upon discharge, the doctor said, well, we found some tumors.
Neuroendocrine tumors are cancers that begin as cells that are similar to nerve and hormone-producing cells. They often grow undetected because it's easy to misdiagnose the symptoms like centralized pain, fatigue, dizziness, thirst, and others.
I had stomach aches for years, and they kept saying, oh, you have an acid stomach. Well, it turns out that it was a cancer that was causing me the problems.
With the help of a local photographer, some close friends, and some fashionable zebra clothing, this week Leslie is working to raise awareness about this rare cancer and prepare a fundraising event here in Utah.
I am so excited to dress up in animal print for the very first time in my entire life for one of my very best friends, Leslie, and support this incredible cause.
All proceeds from the event will go to Utah's Huntsman Cancer Institute and will be used to fund research into a cure and cause for the zebra cancer.
They don't know why people get this disease, so they need more research to find it and to find a cure. And that's why I'm doing this, to bring awareness, and I want to bring money to the Huntsman Cancer Institute for research.
The fundraiser will include food, drinks, raffle, and some fun.
I want everybody to come to the fundraiser dressed in zebra clothes because this is a zebra of cancers because it's so rare.
I'm really excited to bring forth some of the money and the benefits and the fundraisers that we can bring after the awareness.
Amy Ney, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, before we go to a break, I want to share a photo from a viewer. At night, photo shoot at Secret Lake. He's asking me Capitol Reef he wants to do a photo shoot, but what about the smoke? We'll answer that, plus updates on Tropical Storm Sally after the break.
Remember when the Nuggets rallied from a 3-1 deficit against the Jazz? They've done it again against the Clippers, and it's the first Sunday of the NFL season. Some local players made big plays. The highlights are on the way.
Off heading to the Gulf states where, of course, the focus this past weekend, Tropical Storm Sally now moving over those warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see, its development, things are increasing in its intensity, and it's moving to become like a hurricane. Still right now, though, a tropical storm with winds at 60 miles per hour. Now, the target of when it's going to be moving onshore as it does gain strength, becoming a Category 1 hurricane. The timing of it is early Tuesday morning, moving onshore and then pushing towards Mississippi. Areas such as Biloxi, as we look towards Tuesday evening, could get hit, still remaining a Category 1 hurricane. Now, this morning, the models were showing the potential of becoming a Category 2, but the update is it doesn't become that strong. But it's the storm surge, the rain, that's the biggest concern, where we could get over 12 inches of rain and that storm surge anywhere between 5 to 8 feet. So that's the focus there. We'll be keeping our eye on that. Now, across the state, things are calm, clear, a little smoky across northern Utah. As we mentioned, the air quality and that moderate concern level as smoke each and every day increases just a little bit, especially across northern Utah. Western Utah, Wednesday, we'll see more of a concern even down towards St. George. Now, for tomorrow over the mountains, it gets a little breezy. But the valleys, it looks like winds doesn't get too bad, especially as we look at those areas where we've been seeing those fires through Utah County. But we're going to keep temperatures hot here for the next several days. With that fire weather warning, as we take a look once again, Wasatch back up through Cache County, Ridge County as well, southwest Wyoming, we could see wind gusts tomorrow afternoon anywhere between 20 to 25 miles per hour. Of course, it's so dry out there. These low humidities not helping out with the situation. Of course, that there's fires started, trying to fight these flames in these hot temperatures. That's also something that we need to be making you aware of. Now, high pressure is the dominating weather feature here across the state. It's just not moving. We have a storm system that's churning out there, but it's slow to move. It will kick up the winds Thursday and Friday. But as it does move through, it's going to lose its energy, and we're not going to see much moisture from it. But it will drop temperatures as we head towards the weekend. But until then, we'll keep the heat going. Hour by hour forecast for tomorrow. Waking up with sunny skies. Again, it's smoky, though. Temperatures into the 80s. Heading into the noon hour, once again into the low 90s. Now, we almost tied a record today. I don't think we'll get there tomorrow, but still very hot for this time of year. Here's your highs for tomorrow then. 92 in Salt Lake City, 85 in Logan, mid-80s in Vernal. Will be in the 80s in Cedar City through Richfield, and once again upper 90s in St. George. Close to triple digits for the next several days. We pick up the winds Thursday and Friday. We'll see more of an expanded area for that red flag warning by the middle of the week. Slightly cooler for the end of the weekend. Northern Utah, 90s up until Friday. We kick up those wind. Cool front hits for the weekend, bringing some clouds, but as you can see, temperature change, keeping it in the 90s. It's looking like 80s on Friday, and then heading into the weekend, it's 70s. So we're bouncing all over the place temperature-wise. It's a roller coaster ride, but as you look for the next 7 days, we just don't see the rain, but expect to see that hazy smoke here, at least up until Thursday.
The big NFL game of the day featured two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, with 43-year-old Tom Brady leading the Buccaneers against 41-year-old Drew Brees and the Saints. Brady looked good early on in his Tampa Bay debut, scored the first touchdown of the game on this keeper right here. Put the Buccaneers on top 7-0 in the first quarter. He also threw 2 touchdown passes, but he also threw 2 costly interceptions as well, including this one to former Utah Ute Marcus Williams in the second quarter, set up a Saints touchdown. Former BYU Cougar Taysom Hill had 1 reception for 14 yards, 3 rushes for 13 yards, and completed this pass for 38 yards to help put the game away. The Saints beat the Buccaneers 34-23. Cam Newton is now the starting quarterback for the Patriots. They hosted the Dolphins. Second quarter, Newton takes it and runs it in. 4-yard touchdown put the Patriots up 7-0. Then in the third quarter, it's Newton again on his feet, around the edge, and scores. 11-yard touchdown. Cam led the Patriots to a 21-11 win over the Dolphins. Zach Moss had a pretty good NFL debut for the Bills against the Jets. The former Utah Ute scored his first career touchdown. Josh Allen found him in the end zone, and Zach made the catch to put the Bills up 14-0. Moss had 3 catches for 16 yards and 9 rushes for 11 yards in the Bills' 27-17 win over the Jets. Another rookie from Utah had a good debut. Jalen Johnson started at corner for the Bears against the Lions. He deflected that pass that was intercepted by the Bears. Then on the final play of the game, Bears up 4. Johnson knocked away the pass that sealed the win. Johnson had 6 tackles, 2 pass deflections in the Bears' 27-23 win over the Lions. In the NBA for the second straight series, the Nuggets trailed 3-1 but rallied back to force a Game 7. First against the Jazz, now against the Clippers. They trailed the Clippers by 19 points with just 22 minutes remaining, but they rallied against the Clipper. This three from Torrey Craig put the Nuggets up 3 early in the fourth. Nikola Jokic had 34 points, 14 rebounds, leading the Nuggets to a 111-98 win. In Major League Baseball, Cubs pitcher Alec Mills threw a no-hitter in a 12-0 win over the Brewers. It's the second no-hitter in the big leagues this season, the 16th in the Cubs' history. It's his first career complete game in 15 starts. We'll have more from the NFL tonight on the Fox 13 Sports page, plus BYU football up and down week, and we'll hear from Jazz play-by-play man Craig Bolerjack on the Jazz season. We'll be right back.
If you're going to venture out to an actual theater to catch a movie, there's one hour Steve Oldfield says is the perfect choice for the big screen, Tenet.
We hear from two of the stars talking about the mastermind behind this movie.
All I have for you is a word. Tenet.
Tenet is the latest brilliant work from one of my favorite directors, Christopher Nolan. He first made his mark here in Utah 20 years ago with Memento.
We're trying to prevent World War III.
His latest film also keeps audiences guessing when it comes to time.
The manipulation of time becomes something that could possibly make us happier, and if messed around with, could lead to our destruction. So it's a very vital, sort of alive, central kind of theme for his work.
Actor Kenneth Branagh endures a lot of intense moments in the movie, but his co-star says he made things fun on set.
And we were sitting waiting to shoot a part of that scene, and he made me laugh so hard that I actually split the seam of my dress. And so I could say that Ken Branagh is genuinely side-splitting, if you will, which he would enjoy. But no, he's a joy.
Actress Elizabeth Debicki is also a big fan of her director.
He is a visionary, and the way he chooses the subject material that his films explore is really unlike any other director working. And they are so heightened, and they have this complexity.
Even when I'm confused in a Nolan movie, I never give up, and I always love the ride. He shot some of this film using IMAX cameras, so this is one that's begging to be seen on the big screen. Steve Oldfield, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9.
Quick Cast is next, and Sports Page after that.